level of conference? Do you think that adding 5
Well, they bring
games is good for everybody?
they bring a reputation to the conference. I prefer them being all the way, but that's just not the way it is right now. So, but I still think it's good.
Larry, last year you entered the season actually at this event last year. You said it's time.
I did. Yeah.
Do you feel like maybe you were perhaps a year early that you've been building toward?
I'll tell you at the end of the season.
But do you feel like you've been building in some ways toward this year?
Yeah, I do. I think we're closer than we've ever been. I mean, and rightfully so. I mean, we're going into our 4th season, so it just takes some time, and I think we're closer than we've ever been. So that's why I'm so excited about going into this season and where we are. And you cross your fingers that you've done everything that you need to do to make sure that we got the leaders are going to lead and that the chemistry's right on the football team, because you do have pieces of the puzzle in place on the field.
You might give a similar answer you did to my question a few minutes ago. The last 6 games last year, you beat the team that won the Orange Bowl. You had the clunker at Miami. The come from behind against Pittsburgh. You had the clunker against State and Rutgers. And then you win at Duke, a ranked team on a Thursday night. How do you make sense of where the team was in those 6 games?
The only way to make any sense of it is we were inconsistent. And listen, let's make something clear real quick right now. And all these questions about last year's team, that's still my responsibility. And all those issues and everything we talk about, that's me. So when it all comes down, it's poor job by Larry Fedora. I mean, really. I mean, that's what it is. So no matter what the reasons were, it's my job to get it right and to make sure that we come out and we're successful. And so that didn't happen last year, so I've got to do a better job.
What did you learn from that? Seeing the team ebb and flow the way they did like that?
Well, I learned that we've got to do a great job with the chemistry and the leadership of this football team, because I felt like that was 2 things that were major in the lack of success that we expected last year.
And you're pretty confident those things have been addressed and
as confident as you can be, But again, time will tell. We'll know at the end of the season this year.
I think the game you guys are playing against South Carolina and Charlotte, opening the season on that stage against a major conference opponent. Imagine from a coach's perspective, there's some pros and cons.
Definitely.
Recruiting pros and some scheduling cons, maybe like the start of a 1AA team or something like that. Walk me through kind of what pluses and minuses for you.
I think everybody wants to start off with a win. That's number one. So, obviously the pros it could be a great thing for this conference. Everybody's talking about it. I imagine if we were opening up with the Little Sisters of the Poor, probably nobody would be talking about it.
They'd be talking about it because you're playing a perfect.
Right. Well, you're right. But everybody's talking about college football. It's going to be the first game. It's a big game. It's a neutral site. It's South Carolina, all those things. So that's going to be really good. It's good for recruits. It's good for our team as far as they prepare through the summer, which is a grind for them, to know that they've got that big game coming up. So, that part of it's exciting. The negatives are, if you're not successful, how you manage your team and not starting out with a win. And so, but that's part of coaching.
Was there a hangover from the game in Columbia
2 years ago?
The way that one went?
I don't know. I don't know.
You guys went into that game with some pretty high expectations.
We did, and I think we had a good plan. We just we faltered in that plan and turned the ball over a few times and didn't get it done.
Hey, Coach, as good of a runner as Marquise is that part of what made you average last season? The fact that he was running so much. No, I don't think so. Because he gave the offense what it had. Really. With his legs and you guys know he can throw the football. He can throw the football very well and has in multiple occasions. So I think I think what he was able to do last year was breathe air into the offense. So without the way he played, it could have been really bad.
You expect his offensive line to improvement in that offensive line?
Oh yes, definitely, because they're all back. They all got confidence. They all know what we're doing. They're, you had guys stepping out on the field last year for the first time. And so there's a lot of confidence in their eyes, on what they're going to be able to accomplish.
what young guys coach do you have now that you've seen some of the guys that came in the spring and last fall? Some of us aren't talking about, haven't started before, that you have high hopes for heading this season. What do you hear about later?
I'll tell you, the safety J.K. Brett out of Georgia had a really, really good spring. You know, I mean, there were 9 guys that were out there. Tyson Williams, the running back out of South Carolina, had a really good spring and opened a lot of eyes out there. You know, so those 2 guys alone, Jalen Dalton really did some really nice things in spring. You know, he got a lot of reps during spring ball. So, you know, there's 3 guys out of those 9 right there that just off the top of my head that opened eyes during spring ball.
Is Chris Francis ready to give you something this season?
Yeah, I believe so. And he's back healthy, so, you know, they're going to release him here pretty soon.
I saw the other day where Elijah posted on Twitter he's not going to post anything on Twitter again until after the season's over. He had a rough first year with the injury and some of the things he had to battle through, the inconsistencies and adapting. What can you tell us about where he is right now and the decision in not posting on Twitter, sort of a commitment to this year? So most guys can't.
I didn't know that he was doing that. I didn't know he posts a lot on Twitter. Does he post a lot?
I don't know how often he posts, but he specifically said he's not going to post again until after the season. And a lot of these guys are constantly on. So I thought it was interesting.
It's a way of life for these guys. So that is interesting. I didn't know. You know, maybe he does post a lot. Maybe he feels like that takes away from him being a great football player, you know. And so one thing about Elijah is he's very committed to being the best that he can possibly be. And, you know, there were a lot of expectations for Elijah coming into his freshman year, you know, which probably aren't fair for any freshman, you know, but and he did really well, you know. And then he got injured in the Notre Dame game, and we lost him for the, you know, majority of the season after that. And so I'm sure it was disappointing for him. A lot of that out of his control, but I think he's probably got some. You know, it feels like he's got something to prove, and you know, that's what drives him. Then great, and if getting off Twitter is going to make him a better football player, then great. I'm all for it.
You never know with these guys.
If that was the key for us, then I'll tell them all to get off. You know.
The running backs.
I'll get off.
I was curious where that came
The
from.
running backs production or lack thereof last year. Why was that? I know there's a lot of talent there.
Combination. I mean, you know, and you got to start up. I mean, you're not going to be successful if you're not good in the offensive line. It's just not going to happen. I don't care at any level. And just not that we didn't have good players up there, but they were inexperienced and they didn't come along as fast as we would have liked them to come along. We had, you know, Landon Turner went down for 3 or 4 games last year, and we're starting a true freshman at guard. I mean, a true freshman, a guy that just was coming out of high school. And at this level, that's hard to do. That's hard to do. And so I think the running backs will have more production because the offensive line will be better, no doubt.
Coach, you talked a little bit about younger guys, but as far as the sophomore, junior, seniors, is there anybody that impressed you throughout the spring who you think could take the next step?
Oh, there were a lot of guys. I mean, it'd be hard to say. I mean, you know,
there's like one that stood out.
Wow, let's see. I don't know if I could say there's one guy that stood out all spring. I mean, there were guys that flashed all the time, you know. And I mean, I think you got a lot of guys that are hungry. I really do, you know. And I think their summer and the thing that they've done this summer and the word that I'm hearing from them as I get back in and I'm talking to them and their excitement. I think. You know, I think they're all with me. I really do. It's just hard for me to pick out a guy or two. There wasn't somebody that just jumped out every day.
How about Sam Smiley?
Sam Smiley could have a really big year. I mean, if we can keep him healthy and throughout the season, I mean, it could be special for him.
Jeff said commitment to discipline has been really important since Coach Chiswick came on for Sam. And he said he saw a very different guy during spring.
Totally different guy. So I think, you know, I hope that's going to pay off, and I expect Sam to be a heck of a player for us. And he's got some big shoes. He's got to get out there and he's got to do it. And I think he's proven through the spring and the summer that he's ready to do that. Now he's got to do it.
Would you have to rebuild confidence, especially among the defensive?
Oh yeah, definitely.
How did you go about it?
Well, hire Gene Chiswick. That was number one, and that I mean, really, I mean, you bring in a guy that's going to lead them that they have complete confidence in, you know. Because of his reputation, and you know, and so that's a big boost right there in itself, you know. And then just watching as they start learning the defense and they start having success in spring ball and they start seeing things work, and they start gaining more and more confidence. And so with success, you're going to gain more confidence, and that's all you got to do.
Is this an easier scheme, do you think, to pick up and learn, kind of get the hang of in the 4-2-5 on the field?
I don't know that it's an easier scheme. It's all about how you teach the scheme that makes it easier. And you know, that's an age-old question. What's better, a 3-4 or a 4-3, 4-2-5? And you can win with any of them. You can win. I mean, on offense, you can win with a spread, pro style, triple option. I mean, you can win with any of them. It's about how do your players fit your scheme, and then do they truly believe in the scheme? You know, so again, time's going to tell. But I think we're going to be better on defense. Now, is that going to be because we went to a 4-3? I don't know.
The process.
Doing a lot of nickel anyway.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays you're going to have nickel on the field majority of the games anyway. I mean, if you can go back and count and see how many times you got 3 linebackers on the field, you're probably talking about 10-12% of a game. So, but you got to have a base.
But you got in recruiting, aren't staffs focusing on nickel guys a lot more now in recruiting them than previous years?
So even you know, in the 4-3, I mean, you're not looking for linebackers that are 6'4", 250 pounds. They don't need to be that big. They need to be able to cover in space. They need to be able to tackle in space. You know, as teams are spreading you out. So you know, guys that are 6 foot, guys that are 6'1", that are 210, 215 pounds, they can play in a 4-3. I mean, they can, because they're going to be spread out and they're going to be in open space. They just got to be able to make tackles out there.
To add to what Andrew was asking about, go ahead, Greg.
You think the implementation of how he runs his defense is much more important?
Oh yeah, no doubt. I think the process and how you learn it, the steps of the way you teach it, and how kids learn it, I think is critical.
All the defensive guys they talked in the spring, and Jeff was reiterating again yesterday that the process was sort of like 1 term a day. I know you even talked about it during the spring. Does that speed up though now that in a week and a half, more than multiple terms?
Oh yeah, because
now they've gotten
spring
there.
you got the time.
It was 4-3-101 in the spring. Now you're kind of picking it up a lot more.
Right.
Now.
So in the spring you got 15 days to get it. It doesn't matter whether you win or lose in the spring, you know. But what you got to do is you got to come out of there and you got to know the base, and that's what we were able to accomplish. And so now it's moving to the next level. So how much work did the guys do over the summer in preparing for that, and then where are we when fall camp starts? Because we'll go back to an installation process, you know, of reinstalling everything on a daily basis. But now you're putting more in on a day, not just 1 term. So the recalls is very important.
Coach, Jeff talked a lot about leadership yesterday and how he was challenging himself to step up and take on more of a leadership role. Is there anyone else on the defense of the team who you're challenging?
Yeah, Shaquille Rashad will be the next guy over there on the defense because he's got a lot of experience, you know, and he's very well respected on the team. You know, I tell you another guy who stepped into that role, Sam Smiley, that you brought up. Sam has really had a great spring and summer. So that's again, you need, you know, I mean, I'll be happy if we get 1, but having more than 1 is important.
Coach Chiswick mentioned 2 things: changing the mentality,